Most people think that back pain comes from their spine, but there's one thing that's usually to blame, and you might be surprised what it is. By the end of this video, you'll know if your core is weak and exactly how to fix it. Before we talk about the signs of a weak core, let's talk about the symptoms which you can feel, because back pain and even sciatica are not the problems themselves. They're just symptoms of something deeper, a weak core. There's another really surprising symptom, which is neck pain, and we'll talk more about that later. Other common symptoms are just this constant feeling of tightness in your lower back muscles or in the front of your hips. And another one is that you just have a general feeling that your upper body and your lower body are kind of disconnected. And your core is that thing right in between them that's supposed to connect them. And that's why it's not surprising that back pain is the number one symptom of a weak core, because your lower back is literally right inside your core. I lived with chronic back pain for over 10 years, and it was especially bad with prolonged sitting or standing, and I used to think that something was wrong with my spine. And this went on until I realized that it was actually my core that was the problem. And I'm going to share with you how I trained my core to get out of back pain, but first you need to understand the signs of a weak core, which are not things that you can feel, they're things that you can see and actually measure. We already talked about the feeling of muscle tightness in the front of your hips as a symptom of a weak core, but actual chronic muscle tightness in your hip flexor muscle group can be measured by the Thomas test in a physical therapy clinic. This muscle chronically tightens as a compensation for weak core muscles because it is so close to your lumbar spine that it can compensate to stabilize it by tightening if the core muscles are not doing their job to support the spine. This is also the same case for chronically tight QL muscles in the sides of your lower back or lumbar paraspinal muscles, which can also be tested by a physical therapist. Other more visible signs of a weak core, which you can just check for yourself in a mirror, are rib flare, which is where the bottom of your rib cage flares out and you can see a rib hump right at the top of your belly. Also, what's sometimes called a pooch belly or a tummy bulge, where your belly sticks out, even though it's not fatty adipose tissue causing you to have a beer belly, it's more postural, and you may have difficulty engaging your core and maintaining that engagement for a period of time. This is caused by low tone in your abdominal muscles, and tone is the resting tension in a muscle. So when you're not engaging and just standing there at rest, there is still tension in the muscle that holds your rib cage down and holds your belly in. So if that tone is low, these are the signs that can happen. And this is also related to other postural issues such as sway back, flat back, anterior pelvic tilt, because the tone in your muscles is also what's holding your pelvis in alignment and preventing it from tilting forward or backwards or side to side. And also hunchback, which is the upper part of your posture that tends to come forward because it's a compensation for a weak core. And this is where neck pain actually comes in. I mentioned that I would speak more about how a weak core can cause neck pain. Well, if you are struggling with poor posture and something like rounded shoulders, forward head posture from a hunchback, that causes your neck to have to live in more of a backward bent or extended position because your upper back is hunched forward. And in order to see the horizon, in order to look straight out, your neck has to backward bend to compensate for the forward bend right below it. So your core is the foundation for everything that is sitting on top of it, including your neck and head. And if the foundation is not stable or in alignment, then everything above it suffers as well. Another sign of a weak core that's worth mentioning is difficulty balancing, especially single leg balance. Your core is instrumental in maintaining your balance because it's the connection between your legs and your upper body, which relates back to that earlier symptom that's common with a weak core, which is the feeling that your legs and your arms or your upper body are disconnected from each other. Now, here's something you might find really surprising. Fixing these signs of a weak core and fixing back pain don't require brute strength in your core muscles or doing endless sit-ups. What really matters is the healthy tone in your core muscles at rest. You see, the tone is the natural tension in your muscles, so you can stand in a relaxed way at rest. And this muscle tension is still supporting your spine and preventing stress from going into your ligaments and your discs. Your muscle tone is what's responsible for your natural posture of your pelvis, your spine, your shoulders, your head and neck, without you even having to try. So muscle tone is what we should be focused on in our training. And training the muscle tone of my core is exactly what I did to help me climb out of the downward spiral of chronic lower back pain. The first thing that you want to make sure you know how to do is activate and engage your core muscles in a healthy way. And the type of engagement that I recommend is a brace. The way that you can figure out how to do this is through a forceful exhale. If you blow all the air out of your lungs quickly and forcefully, you can feel all of your core muscles engage together. This is a brace, and that's just a way to learn how to get the feeling, but you want to learn how to do this and maintain it in a more subtle way while doing other activities and exercises. And once you figure out how to do that, then it's time to start doing exercises. And I'm not talking about sit-ups or high strength training, high intensity exercises. I'm talking about movements that involve maintaining core engagement while doing low-level activities. This is what better mimics our daily life. Going around the house, doing the dishes, doing yard work, doing chores, sitting at work, getting in and out of your car. These are low intensity activities. And these are the types of things that you need to learn how to engage your core while doing, so that your spine is supported and you're not causing stress in your discs and your spine. And once you learn how to do this for a long enough period of time, it actually becomes more automatic and it can become part of the resting tone of your muscles. This does take time. And some of the exercises that I like to use for this are ones that you do get taught in a physical therapy clinic, like the bird dog, the dying bug, and other similar exercises like that that are heavily focused on core engagement while adding movement to the mix. The plank is another good one. And then you want to start incorporating this engagement into other more advanced exercises like a squat. And notice that none of these exercises involve crunching or contracting your abdominal muscles, because the key is that you want to be able to brace them while they maintain in a lengthened state. And that's what supports your posture. The end goal is functional integration. And so that means that you've learned how to maintain this core engagement while standing and walking and doing all the things that you need to do to get through your life so your spine is supported along the way. So here's the takeaway. If you've been dealing with back pain, chances are your core is weak. The good news is back pain isn't forever. You can retrain your core and get lasting relief. We actually offer a 7-day free trial of the Core Balance Training Program, which takes you exactly through this process of learning how to engage your core in a healthy way, learning how to integrate simple movements and then more complex exercises and movements to that engagement so you can get back to the active life that you love to live without hurting your back. I'll be back next week with another topic for getting out of the back pain spiral for good. And until then, get down on the floor and connect to your core.